Get any better than this? You're about to see it for yourself.
No makeup, guys.
Just listen to what's coming up. Mac Wiseman, Wilma Lee, Jeannie Pruitt, more Dickens and Dean, Gene Shepard, Brother Oswald, Jack Green, Bill Carlisle, and a special Jim Reeves tribute by Jim Ed Brown. Well, here I go again. They're out in the halls talking and having a great time. I think I'll go round them up. You listen to the Orange Blossom Special, and we'll let Mac Wiseman get us started.
Mac, give us a song. Yeah, we need a song from Mac. You're the only one who can follow that.
I feel one coming on you, Bill.
Buddy, you gonna play Mike stand for him there?
I'll play Mike for him, yeah.
But he's a very expensive
That's
microphone
right.
stand.
I'm going to do a little song here I used for a theme song for a long time. One of my favorites, goes to say the song the way I feel about the nice folks I hope are going to buy this video. Video. How you like it so far? As I travel all this world just to suit my roving mind, and the messages I get from a dear one left behind, they were filled with sweetest words that so touched me when I heard, ne'er, oh, ne'er can I forget these awesome things that she'd say. Everybody, Jimmy. 'Tis sweet to be remembered on a bright or gloomy day. 'Tis sweet to be remembered by a dear one far away. It's sweet to be remembered, remembered. It's sweet to be remembered when you are far away. All right, thank you.
You had a lot of help from the guy in the pink suit playing rhythm guitar over there.
I'm trying to take that away from you. Trying to take my guitar. He took my belt buckle. Show him my belt buckle. He took it.
We can't find it.
It's covered up. Covered up with his money.
You mean that used to be Jimmy Dickens?
Yeah. There's JD on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's JD.
Never grew into it.
Brass and glass. That's all it is. Bill, who's that sitting back there by Carol Lee?
I was gonna go that way, Joe. I'm glad you mentioned that because there's a lady behind Mac over there sitting back with Skeeter Davis and with her daughter Carol Lee, Wilma Lee Cooper. She's a lady whose work is preserved in the Smithsonian Institute in Washington. That's got to make you pretty proud to have your work up there.
Yes, it does. I'm very honored that fans think that much of my work. That they put it in the Smithsonian Institution, put it at the Library of Congress, got an album in the Kennedy Center. I got one in the White House, and they told me that they just had a limited number of country records in there. Wow. So I'm really honored with my work in all those different places.
That's terrific. It really is.
Oh, thank you.
Carol Lee, your mom doesn't look natural without a guitar in her hand. Is there one back there somewhere?
We'll find one.
There's mine.
One coming
up. So I said, take Jimmy Dickens, please.
What do you want to take mine for?
I Jimmy needs a microphone. Somebody.
I had one and Shep Woolley took it.
Here it is, Jimmy.
Listen, that band back there's depending on me, and here y'all are trying to take my guitar away. What's wrong with y'all? Look, I don't even use a capo, man.
That's the problem.
What do you mean the problem? They're perfectly happy with what I'm doing here. The band is. See, they're back there. They can't hear up here. Now y'all leave me alone.
They call him One Key Jimmy, you know.
I'm writing a song. Y'all behave.
What's the name of it?
I'm gonna kill you again. I'm gonna kill you again. I'm gonna kill you again. When I'm released, you'll be deceased, and I'm gonna kill you again. How am I doing? It's in the key of C.
That was yesterday. All right, we got Wilma Lee's got a guitar back there and a microphone.
Yeah, got everything.
All right, we got to hear something great out of you.
Well, I thought I might do a little bit of the Big Midnight Special. Yeah, that's a fast one. Big Midnight Special, shine your light on me. Big Midnight Special, shine your light on me. Woke up this morning, heard the whistle blow. The jailer said, come boy, it's time to go. Big Midnight Special, shine your light on me. Big Midnight Special, shine your red light on me. Well, I never had the blues so in my life before, till my baby left me at the station door. Big Midnight Special, shine your light on me. Big Midnight Special, shine your red light on me.
Jimmy Dickens needs to do the turnaround.
Well, he put him in the guards around his door. Said you're off to Atlanta to serve 10 to a score. Big Midnight Special, shine your light on me. Big Midnight Special, shine your red light on me. Took him off in Atlanta at the end of the line. Said you start serving time, boy, for your awful crime. Big Midnight Special, shine your light on me. Big Midnight Special, shine your red light on me. Well, the whistle makes me lonesome on the midnight train, but he knows I'm a-waiting till it brings him home again. Big Midnight Special, shine your light on me. Big Midnight Special, shine your every love light on me. Big Midnight Special, shine your every love light on me. Big Midnight Special, shine your every love light on me.
By Django Dickens.
I like the arm movement that you're doing there.
That's a bluegrass league.
Max says that's a bluegrass league. It just comes natural. Hey, you know, guys, we got some folks here today that are not necessarily performers in our business, but they're people that are awful special to all of us. Our good disc jockey buddy and Grand Ole Opry announcer for many years, Charlie Douglas, back over there.
Thank you.
Everybody knows that voice when it speaks.
Thank you. You were talking about the worst songs you'd ever heard. Feel Me a Nanner comes to mind. Certainly one of the top
Wonder
five.
who wrote that.
I don't know.
We did Feel Me a
Charlie.
Nanner, and what was Lord's number?
Pie Peachy Pie
Pie
Pie.
Peachy Pie Pie.
Yeah,
We did some of those a little bit earlier. What kind of experiences have you had with that kind of stuff at radio?
Oh, there are too many to mention that this probably. I used to do a thing on the air in New Orleans where we played every week. We would play the top 5 bad songs of the week, and people were calling up saying, "I ain't believing you played that on the radio," and I didn't either for a lot of. I mean, some of it was pretty bad. There was one called "I Want to Be a Playboy Centerfold," and this woman looked like Johnny Russell with long hair. I'm telling you, it was and she had a bigger beard than he did too. And there was one called. It seemed to me there was a time that women wanted to be things, and this girl wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. And it was probably the worst record I ever heard in my life. Right up there with Peel Me a Nanner Bill. Somebody was talking about, Mac was talking about the banjo case with the machine guns, and a true story, Yehudi Menuhin, who was one of the great violinists of all time, in the 30s went to check into the Farmer House in Chicago. You remember this story? And he had his violin case with him, and this was the days of the gangsters, and the desk clerk was from Muleshoe or somewhere, and he said, well, I want to see what's in there. He said, no, I can't open that up. It's a violin, and I'm Yehudi Menuhin, and this is probably the most valuable violin in the world, and you can't look at it. And the boy looked at him and said, I don't give a damn who you are. I don't care if you're Bob Wills. If you ain't getting in this hotel, I see what's in that case.
Charlie, there's some funny radio stories too, and I know you've got tons of them. Funny things that happen when you're on the air playing records.
Well, one of the funniest things that ever happened was this lady right over here, back in the days when, before she got religion, would call up in the middle of the night and say some very strange things on the radio. Very strange things. Oh, gee. One of my favorite ladies of all time, and Sheb Woolley sent me a song right after the 6-Day War called "Gentile on My Mind." That was another one of the bad songs that John Hartford said no, he wouldn't let him release that or record it. You remember that, Sheb?
I do very well.
Yes, I remember it very. I fell out of the chair. That was one of the funniest things I've ever heard. Right up there with Peel Me a Nanner, Bill. Right up there.
Keep plugging, Charlie. Thank you.
I'm going to send you a copy of I Just Don't Look Good Naked. I think you'll like that.
You want to render a little bit of that for us?
I've got a CD on that. Yeah, I've got a new CD with all those beautiful songs that I just mentioned.
I'm almost hesitant to ask you, but how does that one go?
I just don't look good naked anymore?
Yeah.
Give me a D. Like in dog. I stepped out of the shower and I got a good look at myself. Pot-bellied, bald-headed, man, I thought I was somebody else. I saw my reflection in the mirror on the back of the bathroom door. I just don't look good naked anymore. So I'm going upstairs and turning the bedroom mirror to the wall. I hung it there when I was trim and tall. That's the wrong chord, Jimmy. And I'd stand there and smile and flex and stretch till my arms got sore. But I just don't look good naked anymore. One more verse. I went to see my doctor for my annual physical exam. Standing right there in the buff, and he said, man. I said, what is it, Doc? Some fatal disease? I gotta know the score. He said, no, you just don't look good naked anymore.
That's it. Grammy Award material.
See my new CD.
Okay, Buddy Killen. The guy walks in, he plays you that song. You're the publisher. What do you tell him?
Oh, I'm not quite sure, I'll tell you. No, I
Give
don't
him a
like some of those.
buddy.
That's very funny. I like it. But,
Give him a fictitious name. That's what I do.
yeah.
What'd you say, or something like that.
So you don't look all that good in clothes either. If I was a publisher. Well, tell him to do it in E and come back Tuesday.
No, I tell you what, there's a big audience out there for that one.
Probably right.
I've been playing snowbird dates down in Florida, and they all agreed with it.
Hey, Bill, I would apologize for one that I recorded called You Tied Tin Cans to My Heart. But the publisher is sitting here, and my producer is in the room also, so I won't bring that one up.
I just produced a record with the girl Casey Jones, a song called I Hate Your Dirty, Rotten, Stinking Guts, But I'm Not Bitter.
I think you're putting me on. Our great guitar player, Jimmy Dickens, who has become the orchestra leader here, you had a word for Mr. Dean. I heard you call Jimmy Dean a gentleman.
Yes, he is a gentleman, mister. He is a gentleman. And you know what a gentleman is.
What's that?
That's a man that can play an accordion but won't.
Where's your accordion, Dean?
I knew that
Where it ought to be, in the middle of the ocean.
I knew that Dickens was going to smart mouth me, so I've got it coming in a minute. And I've got 3 accordion solos coming up. Lady of Spain, but it's going to be here. I'll get you. Keep your mouth shut, Dickens.
But I won't be here. I'll take it.
I gotta make a change here. Melba, would you change seats with me?
Why are we doing this?
Musical chairs. That's
We're doing this because I've always thought she is one of the prettiest women in the world, and watching all them clowns out there, I can't see her. Now I can see her better.
Jeannie Pruitt's also a lovely lady over here. We haven't heard a song out of you. I think we need to get a little satin sheets with everybody. Jimmy picking and
Contrary to
can I
popular
pick?
belief, I have written some songs over the years and recorded others, but this is still the one people want to hear. Mr. Acuff said, always go with the one that brung you, darling.
This
And
one brung you. It
You
sure
bet.
did.
Looking for lots of help, girls. Satin sheets to lie on, satin pillows to cry on. Still, I'm not happy, don't you see? Big long Cadillac, tailor-made upon my back. Still, I want you to set me free. I found another man who can give more than you can. Oh, he's given me everything money can buy. But your money can't hold me tight like he does on a long, long night. You know, you didn't keep me satisfied. Satin sheets to lie on, satin pillows to cry on. Still, I'm not happy, don't you see? Big long Cadillac, tailor-made upon my back. Still, I want you to set me free. Satin sheets to lie on, satin pillows to cry on. Still, I'm not happy, don't you see? I'll do a single right there. Big long Cadillac, tailor-made upon my back. Still, I want you to set me free.
here. This one right here drove all the way across West Germany once in 1971. I didn't know he was in that part of the world, and he didn't know I was. And he showed up at a concert I was doing at the Armed Forces bases, and just I'd been over there about 30 days, and it was so good to see somebody from home. So I always wanted to do a duet with him, and we just did, didn't we?
Y'all might get some votes for Duet of the Year.
We might, I'll tell you what.
I tell you, I came from here by bus over there.
Talking about running into people that you don't normally see, and, you know, familiar faces in strange places like that. One time I turned the corner in the airport in London, at the airport, trying to make a plane to get back to Nashville, and rushed around that corner, and there sat Brenda Lee right in the middle of the floor with everything she owned, pulled out of her suitcases in the floor looking for her passport. And I said, Brenda, the plane's going to leave without you. She said, it'll just have to go. They won't let me on. They don't recognize me. I said, well, just come on down. I'll see if I can't help you get on. She said, no, I ain't leaving here to get the passport. So I left her sitting in the floor digging in there for that passport. And once down in British West Indies on a vacation, I went snorkeling and was going around the edge of the rocks and looking at things, you know, and come face to face, and up come Randy Travis, just out of the clear blue. And I said, talk about meeting strange, familiar faces in strange places. It was real experience for me to see him. And then he went on to the turtle farm, had his picture made with all the turtles and all the people on the island, and we had a grand time. So I just wanted to put that little thing in there. I thought it might trigger some memories here, and some other people tell some good stories about strange faces or familiar faces in strange places. Tell them, Carol.
Carol Lee says she has a strange face. You don't have a strange face.
No, I have a strange country. No, I have a strange place that I got to go to, and that was doing USO shows in Vietnam. And we were closing. In fact, the last night we were there, the base was attacked. And, you know, we're so civilian-minded that we think of drills, fire drills, and things like this as practices. And our whole, about 800 people in the audience left. I mean, they just up and started running when the sirens went off, and I thought, oh, this is a drill. Until I looked, Bill, all around me on the stage, and I was the only person left on the stage. The band, everybody had deserted me. I mean, this was Vietnam. You're in it, you know, by yourself. And I looked around, and they were hitting ditches and foxholes, and I thought, this is for real. And so, of course, we went and got out that night, and they put us in a convoy that later on that night, they got us off the base as quick as they could, and us just sit out there and wait until enough vehicles and jeeps and vehicles come along, and then, you know, when you get so many, then you can head back to Saigon. And mortar shells, all kinds of bullets were going across our little road. We were out there like sitting ducks. But I say all that to say that was our last night in Vietnam. And when we went to the airport in Saigon to get to go home the next day, and this was during the Tet Offensive, who did we look up and see that was coming in but Johnny Cash and Carl Perkins? So I know what you're saying, Jeannie. I mean, we had people there everywhere. We ran into Jimmy Stewart, and we got to sing Green, Green Grass of Home for him.
You kiss him for me?
No, but I felt like it. What a gentleman he was, and he was a big country music fan, as so many of these, you know, big stars are.
The basis because Buddy Killen was playing it.
Wait a minute, Buddy's got a great story on Carlisle.
Well, earlier when I walked in, I said, hey, Bill, you still jumping? He said, well, I'm not jumping as high, but I'm staying up longer.
I was in the hospital one time, laying in the bed, starving to death because it had me on a fast for 5 days, hadn't eaten a bite. And Uncle Bill felt sorry for me. He and Charlie Dick came in, sat down at the end of my bed and ate 2 bags of M&Ms and brought me a bowl of plastic fruit.
My band and I got off the plane one time in New York City, coming back from Europe, and we coming through the lobby, and way off over in the corner, I heard somebody say, Jimmy Dickens is a midget and his feet don't match. Guess who?
Jimmy D.
He sells sausage. I told him a while ago, I said, if you'll just tell me what's wrong with my playing, I'll try to fix it. He said, I don't like anything about your playing. Fix that. And I thought he was my friend all these years.
I love you to death, and you know that. And
Never
I
did
pick on
use
you
me
'cause-
on none of your
But
sessions.
you, listen. What'd you say?
You never did use me on none of your sessions.
Well, if I was still cutting, I wouldn't now either.
I ain't never been on your boat either.
You've been invited. You've been invited. We've
Yeah,
got
but you know something about that? I got that invitation. I don't know how I ever got it because it didn't have any postage on it. I had to pay 39 cents to get it.
That's it. I just want you to work a few more gigs so you can get your act fixed.
Don't you worry about it. When you play as much guitar as I do, they come undone.
Boy, I'll tell you one thing. I learned a valuable lesson. Don't you ad-lib with Dickens, he'll cut you to ribbons, that little sucker. And I'll get you after this show.
I imagine back when you were doing your television show in New York, you probably had most of the people in this room come up as guests on your show.
A lot of them.
Was Jimmy ever on your show?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you. I don't know my name, but I was on it.
He forgot your name on the show? Oh, just now. Oh.
I just forgot it now.
He's under pressure
Come
now.
out here and tell them who you are.
You're bound to have some great stories from your TV shows.
Oh, I think one of the cutest things was when Mel, I was co-hosting the Mike Douglas show, and they would, when you co-hosted, you could have anybody up there that you wanted, and I said, get Mel Tillis. Fine. Now, they didn't know who Mel Tillis was from Adam, but they booked Mel Tillis, and somewhere around the middle of the week, somebody had told them that Mel stuttered, and everybody went right through the ceiling. Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. We cannot have anybody on here with any kind of speech impediment. I said, if you'll leave it to me, I'll take the curse off of it. And it's like therapy, and it's wonderful, and so on. And Mel had bought a brand new Martin guitar, not that cheap-looking thing. And he brought it up to do the Douglas show, tickled to death, and I was tickled to see him. And he opened up that guitar case with that brand new Martin, didn't have a sign of a string on it. Not one string on it. They had to send some guy, and guitar strings ain't easy to find in Philadelphia. But they found some guitar strings on it. Of course, we had so many of the wonderful people on the old ABC show. That's back when I was employed.
Weren't you the first person that ever worked on nationwide television with Jim Henson?
Yeah,
Ralph the dog, right?
We started, I found Henson and the Muppets when I was working in Washingtonville with the old show in the early morning, and they were doing a Wilkins coffee commercial, and I loved them. Thought they were great, and when we went to New York, we started booking Rolf, and people loved him. And you know, the guy came in and said, after we put him on there, he said, you know, I can get you 40% of the Muppets if you want them. I said, I didn't do anything to earn 40% of the Muppets. I don't want 40% of the Muppets. I'm just delighted they're here. And a lot of people say to me, I'll bet you're sick you didn't take 40% of the money. No, I'm not, because I still didn't do anything to earn it. They're great, they're talented, and they're gifted, and they're where they should be because they earned the right to be there, not because of me.
You know, a name came up a minute ago. He was not really necessarily a country picker and singer, but he had the same kind of soul that everybody's got in this room, and that's the name of Carl Perkins. And we lost Carl recently. Billy, you said you had a funny story about Carl Perkins.
I've got a funny story.
Carl and I worked together when Blue Suede Shoes was out, and we were on this tour with Hank Snow back in about 1957. Me and him and Marvin Rainwater and Glenn Reeves and Wanda Jackson, and we had played International Falls up in Minnesota, and we was on about a 20-day tour, and so the next night we were supposed to be in Minneapolis, and Marvin and Carl had gone out imbibing in the spirits that night and hadn't got any sleep, and they were all riding with me, and we were heading back down to Minneapolis, and so Carl was complaining about how much sleep he didn't get and how bad he felt. And Marvin said, well, if you'll let me hypnotize you, he said, I'll make you have 8 hours sleep in 10 minutes. And old Carl said, well, yeah, I'll go for that. And so sure enough, old Marvin hypnotized Carl, and I could see Carl was sitting right behind me, and I was driving, and it's 20 below zero outside. It was in February, and so after he told him he'd have 8 hours sleep when he woke up, well, then he said, now, whenever you, I'll ask you for a cigarette. And said, you'll get extremely warm. In fact, you will get so warm you'll start perspiring. And you'll be as hot as you've ever been in your life, like you were in a jungle. And so he said, now, when I ask you for a match, he said, this will begin to go away and you'll return to normal. Well, he woke him up and was riding down the road about 20, 30 miles, and he asked him for a cigarette. And so then about 5 minutes, Carl Perkins started sweating like he had never sweated before. I mean, big beads of sweat start. And he rolls down that window, and it's 20 below zero outside. In about 5 minutes, our teeth were chattering, and he was still sweating, but we were freezing to death. So in a minute, he said, well, how about a match with that cigarette? So about 5 minutes later, I'm in to tell you what, he rolled that window back up. And so this happened 2 or 3 times on the way to Minneapolis, and he finally figured out that Marvin had done something to him, and Marvin told him what he had done. And so, you know, we had a big laugh, and just as Carl went on the stage that night, as they introduced him, Marvin came and said, how about a cigarette? And about 2 verses into Blue Suede Shoes, he starts just pouring sweating, and he looked over at Marvin, he said, you dirty...
I got a good Carl Perkins story. Anybody that's been in his home or knows him that well might know this, but he shared this story with me, I think it was maybe 83, 84, and when he first told me this story, but he had was working in some clubs, and he said this guy had came in and was just really threatening to kill him, you know, and everything, and he was doing everything that he could, trying to do every song that he wanted and everything like that, and finally he couldn't figure out what all the big problem was, and he told him that he was so jealous because his wife just loved him so much, and of course Carl didn't even know his wife or anything, but when Carl stepped out that night into the alley and his boys, his sons, were coming behind him, the guy jumped out in the shadows, and Carl had sang a gospel song and talked about the Lord a little bit. He had just started to do that a little bit on his performances, and he said he almost didn't do it that night because of performing in the club, but he decided to go ahead and do that. So the man jumped out of the shadows, and he put his arm down like that, and as he did, this kind of a machete came down, and he took it, and Carl said he just jumped back, and the guitar dropped, and he said, I was going to take your life tonight. And he said, because I'm so jealous that the way my wife felt about you. But he said, but when you started talking about God, he said, I saw God beside you. And he said, I want you to have this. And so Carl has that machete in his museum. And that would have been years back, we would have lost him in such a terrible way, and it also shows how God works, too. And I didn't know if any of y'all know that story or not, but that came right from him to me, and he has that.
Carl was a wonderful man.
Wonderful.
His roots were really in country. Some of the first songs he wrote and recorded were very, very country songs. A wonderful man. Gene Shepherd, sing us a song.
I don't know. Hit an acorn, boy.
Has Jimmy Capps learned to break on the slipping away since the last time?
we can try it. What key?
No,
I don't know.
No, do something else. I'm just kidding.
We done our song like anything, but I do a gospel medley, and everybody in here knows it, and I know all the girls know it. And I start out with, let's all go down to the river. Let's all go down to the river and see the man walking on the water. Come along with me, and you're bound to see the man walking on the water. I wandered so aimless, I filled with sin, I wouldn't let my dear Savior in. Then Jesus came like a stranger in the night. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. I saw the light, I saw the light. No more darkness, no more night. Now I'm so happy, no sorrow inside. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. I was standing by my window on a cold and cloudy day when I saw that first time rolling up to carry my mother away. With a circle we are broken, by and by, Lord, by and by. There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Some glad morning when the light more, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shores. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. One more time. While I was praying, somebody touched me. While I was praying, somebody touched me. While I was praying, somebody touched me. It must have been the hand of the Lord. Yeah! Glory, glory, glory. Somebody touched me. Glory, glory, glory. Somebody touched me. Glory, glory, glory. Somebody touched me. It must have been the hand of the Lord. Yes, it must have been the hand of the Lord.
Who is that harmonica player?
A stranger I've never seen before.
Chef Willie, I didn't know you knew how to play the harmonica.
He don't.
I didn't know he had enough breath to play it.
I learned I could play three at once. So recently I swallowed one, so I had to do it with two.
Him and little Jimmy Dickinson from the same school.
Same music school?
Oh, yeah.
You make a pretty good actor, Sheb.
What do you mean, Jimmy? I don't understand.
You do understand we're a pretty good act.
Darn
You got
right.
your rhythm man, you got two harmonicas.
I got a dobro player sitting right here. That can-
Absolutely.
Oh, why don't the three of
And
you do
I've
one?
got the van and the trailer with the PA set in.
Well, let's get on the road. You ready, Oz?
Y'all do one.
I wish you'd play the Wabash Cannonball in there or something. Oh, we played it yesterday? Well, I wasn't here yesterday.
Played an E today.
Today we play an E.
Yes, sir. That's it.
Jimmy, I believe your band needs a little work.
I believe your band needs rehearsing, Jimmy.
Jimmy will get him in
The
shape.
band leader, you got to call rehearsal. Play some more, all right?
Believe me, I've had worse.
Oz, play something on the double. You had a gospel song you were going to play, I think.
Yeah, what a friend we have in Jesus.
Yeah, play that. That'd be beautiful.
In G, say what?
Key G, everybody.
In G. G.
Jimmy Dean,
Why?
you're one of the best in the world at doing recitations. We're kind of in a little bit of a somber, serious mood. Do that beautiful song that you do about your cup overflowing.
You know what? What people don't know about this show is they tape 27 of them every day. And, well, not quite that many, but it seems like. But I have laughed so much that I'm hoarse, but I will give it a try. It's a thing that I ran into. I was playing Rest His Soul in Phil Harris's golf tournament in Linton, Indiana, and we had lunch at a little old diner, and I looked on the back of the menu, and there was a piece of material, and I loved it. And I asked the gal if I could have the menu, and she said yes. And so I brought it back and wrote another verse to it, and it's got the dumbest title in the world, but I think it has an awful lot to say, and there's some of it that's, I imagine, applicable to most of the people in this room. I said, I've never made a fortune, and it's probably too late now. But I don't worry about that much. I'm happy anyhow, and as I go along life's journey, I'm reaping better than I sowed, and I'm drinking from my saucer because my cup is overflowed. Don't have a lot of riches, and sometimes the going's tough, but I got 3 kids that love me. That makes me rich enough. Oh, I remember times when things went wrong and my faith got a little bit thin, but then all at once the dark clouds broke and that old sun peeked through again. So Lord, help me not to gripe, about the tough roads that I've hoed. I'm drinking from my saucer because my cup is overflowed. And if God gives me strength and courage when the way grows steep and rough, I'll not ask for other blessings. I'm already blessed enough, and may I never be too busy to help another bear his load. Then I'll keep drinking from my saucer, 'cause my cup is overflowed. Thank you, Bill.
Oh, man. You know, Bill, we all in this room have so much to be thankful for, simply because God has blessed us with so much talent. And the world has proven that you people, I'm not talking about me, Jimmy Dean, how wonderful that is. And he not only blessed us with talent, but he blessed us with the opportunity to be together today. And so I'm thankful for this. It's wonderful just to be here, and we're all friends, and we've been friends for a lot of years. But God has blessed us to be here, and so it's great.
Billy, I was just struck by the fact that when we were doing Will the Circle Be Unbroken, that the circle has been broken from last year when we were here. We've lost Grandpa,
And Justin Tubbs,
Justin, and one other, is that what we?
Floyd Kramer.
Floyd. Well, yeah, well, they were not on our circle, but they were in our circle of friends, certainly. Can't ever tell, can you, folks?
No.
Let's have a good time while we're at it.
Yes.
Bill,
I ain't been feeling real good.
You're looking great.
I mean, I was gonna tell everybody. I don't know if you know it, but Jimmy's got the most wonderful new album out that has that in it. He's recording for Curb Records now. He's got an album of inspirational songs like this, and I've never heard him do anything better than this collection of songs he's got out. So I want to tell you about it.
Well, I'll tell you, why I did that. The reason I did that album is because of Dum Dum here. Because I hate studios. I just despise studios. Well, one reason, if you're not good at anything, you don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, Buddy and Carolyn come to the boat and visit with us all the time, and we used to have a couple of little swallows of Merlot, and I'd sit around and start doing some of these old recitations, and Buddy used to say, Jimmy, you got to record some of that. And that went on for 3 years, until finally I said one day, all right, I'll do it. And so, good, bad, or indifferent, it's your fault.
I'm proud of it. I've seen you do recitations when you started crying. There are recitations that get to you very, very deeply. The one that the one is it the IOU? Is that the one that you did about your mom that is so great? You have a hard time doing that one without.
I can't do that anymore.
You can't do it anymore?
Oh, he's the biggest wuss in the world. I mean, it took about 3 times as long to do the album because he wouldn't stop crying. He still cries at ball games, you know.
Well, it's because he feels what he's doing.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Shows he has a heart.
Hey, y'all know one of the greatest ballad singers in the world is sitting right over there in the corner, our buddy Jack Green. Jack, what would we have to do to get you to sing for us?
I'll just kick it off. That's all you have to do.
Talk to Mr. Dickens. He's in charge of the band today.
But it's in A, boys, and this is one that was called Name It After Me for a long time. And we retitled it and rearranged it, and now it's called Statue of a Fool. That's good. Do it, ready? Oh, that's good. I can't sing this sitting down. Somewhere there should be for all the world to see a statue of a fool made of stone. The image of a man who let love slip through his hand, and then just let him stand there all alone. There on his face a gold tear should be placed. Honor the million tears he's cried, and the hurt in his eyes would show, so everyone would know. Concealed is a broken heart inside. So build a statue and oh, build it high, so that all can see. And then inscribe the world's greatest fool and name it after me. After me.
A lot of people have sung that song, but nobody sings it quite like Jack Green does. Was the original name of that Name It After Me?
Name it after me, and it was in a up-tempo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Somewhere there should be for all the world to see. I still got the demo. It's funny.
I think you were smart to slow it down.
Well, I carried it to the session. Every time we'd go to do a recording session, I'd take that song, and Owen Bradley didn't like the title, and he didn't like the arrangement. And we were hung on a session one time. We'd already tried 3 songs, and nothing was coming off. So he said, "What's that old song you've been trying to get me to record all these years?" I said, "I'll go get the tape." He said, "No, I don't want the tape. I want you to stand here and sing it for me." So I sung it, and he said, "Okay, take a break." And all the musicians left the studio, and about 15 minutes later, he said, "Okay, come on back in. This is the way it goes. Da 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 da." So he gave new life to it, and when we got it recorded, he said, "What do you want to call this thing?" I said, "Well, whatever you want to call it." He said, "How about Statue of a Fool?" I said, "That's good. Let's do that." So, you know, I took it in there for many, many times, and he never did like it because it wasn't in the right tempo and it had the wrong title.
Mac, you said you had an old gospel song you wanted to do, or a good up-tempo gospel
It's
song.
not exactly a gospel song, but it's got a lot of good philosophy in it, I think. It's one of my very favorite songs. You gonna be my mic stand, buddy? Let me check with Jimmy's orchestra over there. Get with that bit, Jimmy. Oh, it's called "I'd Rather Live by the Side of the Road." There are people who would rather live in splendor and brag about the silver and their gold. People who would trade God's promise, earth's glory to hold. People who would rather live in mansions, people who would rather live abroad. But I'd rather have a little log cabin by the side of the road. I'd rather live by the side of the road and try to point souls to the blessed abode than to be a king or a millionaire and live in mansions in bright array. I'd rather do a neighborly deed for a traveler here or a friend in need. I'd rather rather live by the side of the road and to help some pilgrim along life's way. I would rather have a cabin by the roadside where the pilgrimage of man is passing by, right up on some soul to Jesus and that city on high. Every day I want to help to scatter roses. Every night I want my lamp to shine abroad with a welcome from my little bay window by the side of the road. I'd rather live by the side of the road and trying to point souls to the blessed abode than to be a king or a millionaire and live in mansions in pride array. I'd rather do an everyday deed for a traveler here or a friend in need. I'd rather live by the side of the road and to help some pilgrim along life's way.
That is terrific. Absolutely great. We haven't talked much about Jim Reeves in the times that we've been together here. Buddy, you were one of Jim Reeves' very closest friends, weren't you?
Yeah, I tell you what, even today, after all these years, rarely a day goes by that I don't think of him. He was such a close friend. I traveled with him as a musician, and I was at his home every week, a couple of times, and we really spent a lot of time together, wrote songs together. He never recorded it. He didn't call me and come up to the office and look for songs. So we really had a great relationship.
When he died, RCA tried to groom Jim Ed Brown kind of to be the next Jim Reeves, didn't they? Jim Ed.
I didn't know he was. I didn't know who he was talking to. The door was open, but I told Chet. I said, Chet, you know, there's only one Jim Reeves, because I felt that Jim did an awful lot to help me and the Browns and all, but I felt that he was perhaps one of the greatest stylists and one of the greatest voices that this country music business has ever known. And even listening to his songs today, which I do every once in a while, I go back, and that voice is still so great. You know, well, there was a lot of humility. There was a lot of, he knew how, his phrasing was just fantastic. He was a great talent. It's a shame that we have to lose some of them so early. He and Hank Williams and some of the great ones, you know, Roger Miller, that we've just been talking about. But he was truly a great friend of mine.
I like put you on the spot.
I like every once in a while to, in my shows, I like to go back and remember him, because he was a good friend, and he had some great songs.
Do one of them.
Well, if I can get a mic stand, and let me borrow that. Can I borrow that stand right there? Somebody pass it over this way. Pass the udder over to my udder brother. If you don't mind, there's a little medley of some songs that if I can get this thing adjusted about halfway right, and a pick, please. There's a little medley every once in a while that I do of his. 1956, he recorded. Is he going to continue to fall on me? 1956, he recorded a song that was the first million seller that he ever had. And I'm going to sing a little bit of it, and then I'll ask everybody to sing along with me, because they all know it. Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone. Let's pretend that we're together all alone. I'll tell the man to turn the jukebox way down low. and you can tell your friend there with you, you'll have to go. Well, that wasn't the one he recorded in 56. That was in 58, I guess it was.
The writer's right over there. He can
I
tell
know.
you when it was.
Yeah.
When was it, Joe?
I was wondering if Joe was going to stand up and say anything, but he didn't do it.
It was in 59.
But this is the first song. Out where the bright lights are glowing, you're drawn like a moth to a flame. You laugh while the wine's overflowing, while I sit and whisper your name. Now everybody sing with me, will you? Four walls to hear me, four walls to see, four walls to hear me, closing in on me. If I may indulge you for a minute or two longer, Jim loved to sing, and I'm a little hoarse, so you'll have to look through that hoarseness, but he always liked to come in off the road and take the Blue Boys into the little studio out there close to where he lived. Tommy Hill was an engineer there, and he would go in and he would sing all night long, put songs down on tape. And I remember one morning he had invited Maxine and I out to his house for breakfast. And as per usual, he was always late. But we were sitting there, and Mary had breakfast already and had called him 3 or 4 times. And finally he came in, and he had a little white box in his hand. And he handed it to Mary and said, "Mary, here's another one of those insurance policies." And that was some of the songs that he had demoed. Of course, he had a publishing company, as everybody here knows, and he was always doing songs for that. But here's one of those songs that was in one of those little white boxes that came out a little bit later. I'm calling to tell you it's over. Yes, darling, you're now free to go. You're saying you're sorry you hurt me, but you've hurt me much more than you know. You're asking me where this call comes from. Oh, I hope that you won't enter here. If your new romance turns out a failure, then here's where to find me, my dear. I'm just on the blue side of lonesome, right next to the Heartbreak Hotel, in a tavern that's known as 3 Teardrops, on a bar stool, not doing so well.
Bill Carlisle, we hadn't heard near enough from you since we've been around here. I think you need to lay something on us here.
I don't know. I tried. I set you till I got hoarse. When I was younger, had lots of pep. I get around, I didn't need no help. Since I'm old and I'm getting gray, people all look at me and say he's too old. Too old, he's too old. Got the master anymore. He's getting too old. Done got too old. He's too old. Got the mustard anymore. I used to jump like a deer. Now I need a new landing gear. Used to just jump, pick a pin. Now I'm lucky if I jump, but it's a too old. He's too old. The master anymore. He's getting too old. Done got too old. He's too old. The master anymore. Now get it.
Big it, little Jim.
When I was young, I had an automobile. Scooped myself under that wheel. Had to pat the gals off with a stick. Now they say,
Oh, he makes me sick.
it's too, me too. Oh, too old. He's too old. Cut the mustard anymore. He's getting too old. Too old. He's too old. Cut the mustard anymore.
That's wonderful.
He'll never be that old.
How old were you when you did that song?
Before my time, I don't
Subtract 35 from what?
Huh?
Subtract 35 years from what?
From everything.
Tell him
I'll be 91 year after next.
Hey, Bill.
2 years at a time.
Bill, didn't your record come out in 1953 on
Yeah.
He's Too Old to Cut the Mustard?
Right, where were you? That's right. That's right. 1953.
That's when they came out.
Yeah, that is.
Jimmy Newman had his hand up over there.
Bill started rockabilly really and truly because when you listen to the early Elvis records, they had the same instrumentation as Bill had. Even I think maybe Elvis had the paper and the guitar too. I'm not sure. It might have been Cash. But he really is the beginning of rockabilly music. We worked some shows together, and us Cajuns on the same stand. We'd watch him jump, and we'd never seen nobody jump that high. And there was a ceiling not too far from where his head was headed, and it was amazing. It was amazing to us, and I still say that he started rockabilly music back then in the early 50s, and it wasn't that many years later that Elvis came along and Carl Perkins.
And I wiggled out of it. But he wiggled me out of it. Elvis did. I never could get that wiggle like he did.
You're the world's youngest teenager.
Huh?
You're the world's youngest teenager.
Yeah, I'm a sex symbol, too.
What a treasure. I love to watch him laugh and have fun. He always brings a... But wait, we've got another whole video to share. And that's before you get to the bonus tape.
No makeup, guys.
These country music pioneers have been having a ball for 2 days of taping. It's truly been a family reunion. Oh, it's had tears, laughter, even a squabble or two. But in the end, everyone's had a great time. Get ready to enjoy Jeannie Seeley, Wilma Lee, Billy Walker, Charlie Walker, Jimmy Dean the Sausage King, a great poem by Jan Howard on aging, Bill Anderson, Sheb Woolley, Jim Ed Brown, Del Reeves, and Jimmy Dean's marvelous recitation about the farmer and the Lord. So for one final time, let's get Glenn to point the bow, and away we go.
A name that